What's up guys, it's James, and today I am here with my Twilight deck profile, and this was requested from a few people because I on and all got first on the DB ladder this season a couple weeks ago. Slimmrglimmr was me. I sort of pulled a fast one, same as the ladder god account. I don't know why I do it, but I do. But yeah, I was grinding ladder quite a bit, and actually I was playing Vayu a lot. But when I was getting near the end of it, the past couple weeks, I was actually losing a lot more than I thought I would with Vayu. And I felt like I had to switch it up, and this deck went on like a big streak near the end and got me into first place. And I actually really believe that I couldn't have done it with Vayu. Like, I was just losing too much with Vayu. Now, I'm not saying this deck is better than Vayu. I don't know, but I really have enjoyed it a lot, and I'll talk about it a little more as we go. Right before that, I want to give a quick shout out to Decked Out Accessories. This is my homie Stevie. You may know him, RBT YCS champion, good duelist, Bongo Boy member. But he makes these sick sleeves. Decked Out Accessories is the brand. I've had them for a while, and I promised him I'd do a shout out. Not getting any kickback, just I actually think they look very cool, Book of Moon sleeves. So hit them up, they're for sale on the site. And shout out to Bowen, who's filming this right now and has this beautiful deck assembled for me, which I will now show off. So Twilight, as you guys know, dark Lightsworn situation. I think that, there's different versions of Twilight, and that's kind of why I was interested in it, because I think like it's kind of unrefined as of right now. People are doing different like flip variants, or they're not playing all the boss monsters. But to me, like, Twilight is always like Judgment Dragon, Dark Armed, and then I guess Chaos Orc. So I feel like the bosses are just like the appeal of playing the deck. You could definitely play a more mid-range version, but I think just like having the power and getting to play easily the best like cards in the format, right? It's like super powerful cards. It's the whole reason to play the deck. And so, to support those Lightsworn lineup, you have 3 of the good ones, I would say. They help you out oppression and just problem cards. And then the only other one I'm playing 2 of is Arcus. I'm still a little bit on the fence. This is probably the 40th card, but it really does well going second into Raikos and stuff. And Arcus plus Honest, really, really powerful and deals with like Machina Fortress, all this stuff really well. And yeah, it's just like a really good lockdown against decks like Cat and Reenact decks, like things like that. So I still like it. Like Arcus can sometimes be better to summon with Lumina than like Garroth is sometimes. So Arcus just like can really apply a lot of pressure and lock out decks. The one of like the bad ones, I mean, Garroth is fine, but with this deck, you're playing a somewhat limited Lightsworn count, so you're not always getting a lot of draws, but it's still just good pressure, good attack stat, and also like it doesn't mill, which sometimes is helpful in like late game. I'm just playing 1/1 Wolf Celestia. I am also playing 1 Caius as another tribute monster, so I kind of didn't want too many tributes. That's kind of why the 1/1, 1 light, 1 dark, you guys get it. But yeah, like with Wolf as well, just obviously there's like a lot of potential to brick with playing this much like boss monster engine stuff, so didn't want Wolf contributing to that. It's just kind of like a nice little cherry on top that you mill sometimes. Your opponent probably thinks you play more and has to be aware of it, and just the plus is really helpful, but you don't never end up drawing 2, and usually you find a way to convert 1 if you draw it. That being said, onto the dark package. So I think that's I want to say like 15 Lightsworn names, or 15 Lightsworns. And you have, the normal darks, Plague, Necro, and then kind of the like, you have to play some extra darks to play Dark Armed. I don't think you can play it with just like, these 4 that a lot of other Lightsworn decks would play. Even Trag is kind of like borderline. So you kind of have to make some concessions, but in this deck I'm playing a Sangan, which is actually crazy how much Sangan overperforms. I'm also playing these DD Crows. Now, Sangan, and then I'm Search the Crow, just give you an interrupt. But Crow, really has a lot of applications in a lot of matchups. I'm sure there's people that board it against Hero and all that stuff, and it just surprisingly can be good. And even just as you mill and you have 2 darks engraved and you need to pitch it just for its own effect to give you a 3rd for Dark Armed, because I honestly feel like I summon Dark Armed almost as much as I summon JD in this deck. Like, you just find it so much with all the drawing and milling, which you'll see more of. But yeah, like I find all these cards to be really solid. Sangan is like weirdly so good. Like if anything, Trag is the one that I feel like could be swapped out, maybe even a third Crow, to be honest. And yeah, like these cards are just kind of like Lightsworn staples. Boards is very good when you're trying to create this setup. But those are all the monsters, except for Honest, so like more hand traps. I mean, you kind of have like a lot of just from hand like surprise interrupts with like the Crow, Gore's Trag, all those. So kind of gives you a nice layer to this deck, and then you play one Trooper as well, which is just great in Lightsworn. Back when I first made this deck, which was honestly like a year ago, I had just finished playing a lot of Lightsworn. I had done well with it in a couple tournaments, but so I kind of just looked at this deck as a little bit of an experiment, like, oh, like taking the Lightsworn engine, since like, you know, Lightsworn I felt like needed a supplementary engine. That's why the fairy stuff worked really well. So I thought the dark stuff could work. And at that time, I was playing all this crazy stuff. Like, I had a crazy sideboard plan because I thought Lightsworn, you know, part of its advantage was like it beat frogs and like Dragon Turbo and those things. But with this list, the way I've built it now, which you'll see in the side, I felt like I had a way crazier side, like Jougans and Secret Village and all this like crazy stuff I built a year ago. But when I started revisiting this deck a few weeks ago, I felt like I didn't really need that stuff at all, and I still could have a good matchup. But anyway, just Lightsworn package, and then another draw card, Allure. So it's like, honestly, I feel like these cards are like exponentially good together in a way, because it's like, with the Allure, you're seeing that many more cards, and like pairing it with Recharge that much more. So these cards are just like all broken. And then I play 2 Monster Reincarnation, which like, I know Beckoning is probably the card of choice for most of the Lightsworn decks, but this card is just like faster, obviously, and since you have non-light boss monsters, it can just help recurve Dark Arm. I've probably honestly reincarned for like every card in this deck at some point. Sometimes you get Caius, like sometimes you get Crow as another defensive option. Like if you Crow once, you reincarn back the other Crow to hit the second Treeborn. Like that's like a real thing. So reincarnation is really good, and everyone's like, oh, do you side it out against Crow and stuff? No, I never side it out, and I never get hit by Crow. I don't know why. Maybe I bait the Crow doing other things. Like it's usually the last thing I do. But yeah, I don't know. I find Reincarnation to be very strong. Heavy Storm and a Braincon. Braincon's kind of a weird card. I still like maybe I'm a little on the fence about it, but it deals really well with Stardust, which is sometimes a problem. Like, and this deck can just create such big OTK pushes that, you know, the extra damage is welcome. Even if you can't always convert the monster, it's like still good enough. And just 2 traps, Dust Shoot, which is broken, and Roar. I don't want to play 2 Roar because I feel like if you draw 2, it's not very good. But just like a little bit of an interrupt when you have Lightsworn monsters. Sometimes when you are bricking, all you need is like 1 card to unlock you, and it can help you get there. And like you're getting maybe like 5 extra mills in total. So it's sort of like a pseudo Needlebug Nest plus an attack stop. It just makes them give like more thought into playing into your back row too. And now the side, which I've also worked on quite a bit. And one thing to note about the side is like this dark package against a couple matchups, I think is perfectly fine to side out completely. A lot of times I'll leave the Sangan. This is like when I want to take out Dark Armed as well. Like you don't really need these extra darks. I usually leave the Chaos Sorcerer, but you can side out like basically these 5 and then be playing kind of like a teched pure Lightsworn. Which is just like relevant in some matchups where Crow isn't very good or Oppression's really good, and like Black Wings is one of those, I feel. So you have 2 Consecrated Light, you're siding out a lot of the darks anyway, and even honestly, like if you have to tribute a Caius over this, like that's fine, it's still usually good enough. And then like, yeah, just kind of shoring up some tough matchups like Ryo and Cyber Dragon. I think you want the different options in here just to, because like your deck is filled with so many bombs anyway that like, either having access to these with Reincarn or just like having the options is better than loading up on different things. Like this for Machina, this is for Dragon Turbo, and also Machina, Diva Hero. I'm kind of on the fence about this one. I have a few other cards that I can show you too. This is Jaugen, obviously, Jaugen Spiritualist, built from an era card, but online I've been playing Barrier Statue of the Heavens. It's basically like Jaugen, but it has 1,000 attack and doesn't have the discard effect. 1,000 attack is relevant because it can't be run over by like Swap Frog crashes with it, or like Necrogardener, Diva, stuff like that. But Jaugen, I was playing Jaugen for a little while with Secret Village, which is kind of a cool combo, but I just think it's not necessary. I mean, Jaugen's fine, like we couldn't find a Barrier Statue for this, so I brought a Jaugen, but I do think Barrier Statue is a little better. And I play a third Crow just for the matchups that it's relevant, Mirror, Diva Hero. Play a Vortex, helps out vanities. MST, Book of Moon is just like a good generic like catch-all card against either those floodgate monsters like Draco, whatever. But also just helps disrupt like synchro plays, and they don't really expect you to have a lot of like defensive backer like that. When my body actually overperforms, I like it a lot. Also good in the mirror when like you can block their JD. And then Mirror Force, again, just kind of like generic against Vanity Fiend and stuff like that. I play an Oppression, could be 2 Oppression, and then I play 2 Decree, pretty staple on most Lightsworn sides, I would say. And Mind Crush, and now this Mind Crush slot, and like maybe even you could say the Ryo slot, I've been, you know, testing around different things. I'm pretty sold on like most of these cards, maybe 14 or 13 out of the 15, but I was actually trying to return for a while. You know, when they side Soul Release, it can be pretty funny to like just return everything back. Another Cyber Dragon, another Oppression. There's a few other, like Master Restrict is something that I tried. More of the Jowgunner Barrier Statue, more Ryos. These are all little more Book of Moons, like all kind of tech picks that you could have, but all in all, like these are fairly like minor changes. So I basically really like the deck the way it is, and yeah, like I was saying, I kind of revisited this deck from a year ago, and yeah, I've had a really good time playing it. Like, it's honestly so fun to play, and I like, it's just honestly a blast. Like, getting to use all the big boss monsters is a lot of fun, and at the moment, yeah, like I said, I don't think I could have replicated the same results with Vayu, even though I probably still think Vayu's the best deck. But I really think this is kind of like the year of Lightsworn. Like, people are having success with a lot of different Lightsworn variants, and yeah, I think this one's like right up there with the best ones. But yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed. This is slimmrglimmr, James Arc, and thanks again to Bowen and By the Sleeves, and peace.